When my son was growing up, I was a hovering mother and I would not let him fail. And a friend of mine who's more the counselor mode and loves me, not, just as a friend, he said, Arlene, what you're doing is really arrogant. You need to allow him to fail. And I did, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. And he's a very successful businessman today. And it was the best advice I was ever given.
This is Gratitude Geek. I'm Candace Rodarty, and today's guest is Arlene Cohen Miller. She is a former attorney turned work-life harmony and leadership coach. And she is the CEO of Jewel Consultancy, where she helps women and leaders around the world create lives of clarity, confidence, and genuine harmony. And today we are talking about transformation without burnout. Welcome, Arlene.
Thank you. I am still an active attorney in Colorado because in order to facilitate things for attorneys, I have to still be active. And so, when I go in front of them, I do some law stuff as well.
I stand corrected. Before we get started, before we dig into the conversation,
okay,
I shared with you a little bit ago, but I haven't shared with the audience yet, that FeedSpot just named Gratitude Geek the #6 business education podcast in the United States. So I think we should celebrate. Yay! So tell us your story.
Okay, well, when I was 15, I decided that I was going to become an attorney. I made an announcement to my mom and dad. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just had this feeling this is what I'm supposed to do. They sort of nodded their head and yeah. But I did. I graduated from Emory University with a degree in political science, went to University of Kentucky College of Law, which is where I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. And I practiced law in both Ohio and Colorado, and I've been licensed in Kentucky, Ohio, and Colorado. And so I worked for some other attorneys when I moved up to Ohio for a while because you don't really learn how to practice law in law school. You learn how to read case law and write briefs and stuff. Anyway, I started my own business when I was 29 and a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. I just sharing some office space with some other attorneys and businesses. Immediately found out I was pregnant, and all of my family and all of my ex's family and all of my, my colleagues' tribe, all of my law school friends were 6 hours away. So I had to sort of wing it on my own, to be pregnant the first year that I'd opened my business, and then to have a young son and to find childcare and to find my tribe and to find people that understood and supported me and I could support them. So I've been through all of that, and it was interesting. I recommend having a tribe around you first and not having to create it, but you do what you got to do. And I sold the business when my son was 9. I had been doing family law, and I got really burnt out, and I had the opportunity to step a little bit into commercial law, helping businesses collect their debts. There was a former pastor who was in my office, and he was selling collection packages to businesses, and he wanted me to help be the person to refer to represent these businesses, or in other states find attorneys to do so if sending letters didn't work. So I started doing that, and I decided I was going to be in commercial law. Went up to Chicago, went to a big meeting, started getting my feet wet, and was a commercial law attorney. Sold my business in Cleveland so I could join a small practice in Longmont, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver, and practiced full-time until about 9 or 10 years ago. So we sold the business. I'd already gotten the diploma in transformational holistic counseling and certification in coaching and certification in meditation by that time because I'm a perpetual learner. And then I started my own business. My own business was already there, but it was just sort of like, tinkering with it. But I'd had enough. Anyway, that's my story.
Most folks are going to hear lawyer and then meditation and they'll be like, oh, you mean mediation? This is a really big transformation. I mean, it's different. From what you did to what you're doing now they're not in the same sentence most of the time.
They are for me.
That they are for you.
Well, I might do my best to blend what I learned from all that stress of being an attorney and being a coach and being a mentor and stuff like that, and the meditation stuff into what I do. And so I don't think you should ever throw out any skills or abilities or education that you have just because you're, quote, doing something else. And I can't tell you how many people have said this to me, and I'm always like, they're not different because as a coach, I bring like negotiation stuff into there. And and I bring the coaching into there, and I bring the negotiation stuff that I learned as an attorney. So they really all blend together, and all the stress stuff that I learned that I can help people from taking stress into serenity is because the practice of law and being a parent on top of it, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I think women especially, I know men do too, but it's a lot to have on our plates to be a working mom, maybe to have elderly parents. I know men go through a lot too. There's different kind of stresses. And I really feel like everyone can benefit from all that. So I think they all go together. I'm probably the only one who thinks so, but I really see the connectivity of it all.
I think everything is connected. I'm not a quantum physicist, but I believe in quantum physics. If you know enough about quantum physics, you know that everything is connected. Everything. I mean, I was thinking about mushrooms. Mushrooms sing. Did you know that mushrooms sing? That you can record their sounds? Yeah.
That's so cool.
But the way that the mycelium works is that you could have one single mushroom that is 300, 400 feet, yards, miles. They're just so interconnected. And so when I think about everything, the universe, I think we're just a mushroom. Everything's just an interconnected mushroom. I know, I know, I'm weird.
No, but same with trees. All the roots are lots of times connected, and they help each other if one starts having a problem.
They help each other if one starts having a problem. That is so important. Because we are interconnected, it is our role to help each other.
Right. We need to have clear, strong, and appropriate boundaries. I mean, it's not okay if someone comes and has a big hissy fit and tries to dump a bunch of negative energy in my field, or thinks that, they like me and they want to suck all of my energy. That's not okay. But it is okay to step out there and help people to the best of my ability, and so that they can stand on their own feet and do what they need to do. Because really, I'm not doing anyone a service by taking on their stuff. They're the ones that have to sort of clear and move through whatever are like their Achilles heels, as I do as well. And so I guess I feel like I'm helping each other in that way, but we're all just so connected.
You did say boundaries, and even trees have boundaries. A tree has bark. It's a protective boundary. If we're going to use the analogy, let's keep going with it. Speaking of boundaries, I want to talk about being a Gen X woman. We were taught, and you were probably taught this too. I know you were taught this too. Women have to be good and we have to work hard. And sometimes that gets in the way of working good and working hard for ourselves, because we're working good and we're working hard for others.
Right.
In the conversation around boundaries, how does a woman overcome that and get past it?
A lot of the way we feel that things are, that we're being selfish if we give back to ourselves, or all those different things that we tell ourselves, or that we're not worthy of it, or we don't have the skills. I think it's genetic. I think it's been passed down from generation to generation. So I view us as role models. If we do something new, where we're like, for me, self-care is essential. If I'm not filling my cup up with self-care and self-love, I'm going to have nothing to give to anybody. I'm going to get really angry and pissed off because I'm giving and giving and not getting anything back in return. So for me, self-care is essential. And I think it is for all women. For generations, we've been fed a pile of, something that's not nice. And the ones of us that have woken up and gone, that just doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing that. We're the role models for the others. And we don't even have to say anything, but by who we are and the presence we hold and what we do in the world, and you're doing a podcast, we can help other people to have a new way of doing things and to change. And the same thing, the people that work with me or work with you.
I have a client who's a massage therapist, and she does these Saturday events, and she's calling them Selfish Saturday. She had a sound healer there. Have you ever been to sound healing?
Yeah.
It was the first time my teeth were vibrating. It was so resonant. My word of the year is resonant. So it was something I needed to do.
Right.
Audience, if you've never been to a sound healing treatment, you need to go. It's really fascinating. Even if you're skeptical, just try it once.
I have a friend that does that sound healing, and I really feel like the energy of the person that does it is important as well. The instruments are beautiful, but if you get someone that's carrying a lot of fear and a lot of anger, it's going to come through that sound, and you're going to feel it in your body. So it's important to have somebody who's coming and doing that, and those kind of vibrational energies. Yes, you have the bowls and everything, but you want them to be in a good place.
Several years ago, I wrote a blog post. I don't think it's up anymore. I think it was on the website that was hacked. But there is a song called New World Coming, and I first heard it by Nina Simone, who's this glorious singer from the 60s. She's amazing voice. But Cass Elliot from the Mamas and the Papas, Mama Cass, she also did a version of the song. And then there was this movie, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and the song was also in that movie.
I love that movie.
Okay, so there are three versions of this song. Cass Elliott's version is hopeful, it's upbeat, it's lovely. Nina Simone's version is militant, angry, rebellious. And then the version from the movie is scary, very cinematic, well, you've seen the movie. It's very gloomy. And it's the same song, 3 different ways.
Right.
When you talk about the person who is using the sound bells or the sound bowls, their energy flowing through the waves, I can totally get what you're saying. If you can take the same song, which is in one version is upbeat and beautiful, and make it militant or gloomy, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I just want to add that because just they are wonderful. If you have the right facilitator, so maybe just get a recommendation, if they're in the neighborhood where you're at and they, you can tell them who you went to and how wonderful it was. Of course, they were, they're holding a lovely energy to do that, but your energy does come through that stuff. You're like a sort of a conduit. And so 2 people can be doing the same things like you're talking about the song and you're going to have a very different experience.
One of the things that I do with my clients is we run little tiny experiments. And before you left law, you probably ran some tiny experiments too. And you probably still run tiny experiments. So did you run any tiny experiments to determine that it was time for you to leave? This is the time to do this transition.
Well, I felt it's like I was following the breadcrumbs. So maybe I do it with different language, but I was following because I had some amazing women in my life. One who started the coaching school. She'd gone through and gotten her coaching diploma and everything and felt like there should be more heart and empathy and all that kind of stuff we're talking about in coaching. And then I had another friend who did the same thing with counseling, and I got a diploma through her. And then I had a friend who actually is from, a lot of my friends are from Australia, who came to the U.S. to go to university. They did transcendental meditation, and she decided that didn't quite work for her because it was important to be in your body when you meditated, and she was facilitating a class with meditation. So as I was an attorney, as my son was like leaving the nest and going to college and stuff like that, and I was still a partner in the firm, I was like a crazy lady because I was getting these diplomas and certifications, and it just felt like the right thing to do. So I feel like the long answer is that I was following all of these breadcrumbs along the way, and by the time I just felt like I'm done with the practice of law. I've done everything that I can do, and I'm tired of the stress. There's a lot of stress. It's like you can't go on a vacation. You can't go on a work, thing that you're doing without working your tail off before you come and go. So I was just like, I love what I do. I know how to do it. I'm really ready to change.
So when you got all these certifications, did you feel like you needed them all after you were done?
Well, I was really pretty arrogant at the beginning because I was like, especially for the coaching one, it took me 3 years because she kept on saying, Arlene, I really think this would help you, especially with your listening skills. And I'm like, excuse me? I negotiate for a living. I help market the company. And I really did need help with my listening skills. There's something really special. It wasn't taught to me in college.
We're not taught. None of us are taught how to listen.
Right. So
except psychiatrists.
Are you
I don't
sure
know.
about that?
But I don't know. I think they're taught how to repeat what you said.
Or at least give you drugs for it. Anyway, I won't get on that thing. I don't remember your original question, but I know that after one of my dear friends nudging it, I did get the coaching, which came first. I really realized how all of this stuff helped the practice of law and helped me be a better person and a better manager and marketer and negotiator and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't until the very end that I realized I couldn't do law anymore and I really just need to go into the coaching and mentoring full time. I didn't realize how I was just burnt out and I was done.
Yeah. So the question was, did you feel like you needed all those certifications?
I'm so glad I got them. I don't know. I couldn't be doing what I did today if I hadn't gotten them. So I am eternally grateful that I listened to my friends and followed those breadcrumbs.
I actually had a different experience. When I took my business coach certification course in 2016 or 2017, the whole time I was going through the course, I kept thinking, I've owned a business for 25 years. I've never needed any of this. I've never needed any of this. So most of the things that we focused on in that course were how to write a business plan, And I only wrote a business plan once, this type of business plan. I wrote a business plan once to get a loan, and then we never looked at that document again. Now, all these years later, as a coach, I have found one-page versions of business plans that I think you do need. And you do need to have clarity. Like, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to sell crocheted hats at the farmer's market and I'm going to make tons of money. You have to have clarity. Well, do crocheted hats sell at the farmer's market? Or how many other vendors at the farmer's market are selling crocheted hats? You need to have some sort of plan, but you don't need that 300-page business plan that we were being taught to teach our clients to do in business coaching school. So my experience was, I took the certification, I got the certification, but I've never taught anybody any of the things that I learned in that class.
But you know what? That was the foundation to go, there's a better way.
Yeah.
And you researched and found the better way of the one-page thing, but you might not have had the ability to do that if you didn't know some of the other stuff.
Well, and if I didn't have, all the experience behind me of actually owning a business, a very successful business, right? I think that because I came at it with the knowledge that I had, and then the certification course sort of put together, I was like, okay, I know what really needs to happen. And so, yeah, I think you're right. If I hadn't have done the certification, I wouldn't know it was poppycock, right?
And having the certification does give you the foundation of, authority and credibility with people that they want to work with you. Blah, 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 blah. But it's nice to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, because of that experience, I decided, and, you don't have to have a degree or certification to call yourself a coach. So I decided that I didn't need that certification, so I never renewed it. I just didn't think it was important based on what I was doing and what I was offering. So let's talk about what someone can learn from you when they just know that what they're doing is awful and they want to make a transition and they want to do this transition and they want to avoid the burnout altogether. Now, your law career was what was burning you out. But for some people, it's the transition that can cause the burnout.
Right. And, I don't think we're all different. I think we need to take people where they're at and what they need, what they're looking for. And for me to have a one-size-fits-all is not what I do. I sort of walk in with a blank page. If I'm coaching someone, if I'm mentoring, then I'll share things and they can stand on my shoulders. If I'm coaching, I need to find out from them what they are looking for, what they are going through, and I'm walking alongside of them. So I think people experience burnout and the need for change in all different ways, shapes, and forms, but the feeling is the same. And so as a coach, I can ask those powerful questions and share my insights and intuitions and share what I'm noticing and acknowledge their progress and do that kind of thing that helps people and hold a nice big space for them, which we're supposed to call it unconditional positive regard. That feels to me. I just like unconditional love. People like to be heard. A lot of people have never been heard before. When they've been talking, someone's always thinking about what they're going to say and bring the conversation back to them and make it about them. And as your coach, that's not the way it is. That's sort of the gift we give to them. So it's a long-winded answer is that I need to walk alongside of them and know that no matter how they're feeling, whether it's just the beginning of the burnout or they're in the middle or the end of the burnout or whatever's going on for them, that we can find a way forward together.
Well, you called out the difference between a coach and a mentor, and there's also the strategist. So there's three different roles that somebody can ask for or can take when they are helping someone along, right?
Right.
So you've got the mentor, which is basically someone who shows you how to do it. Right.
Well, hopefully you have the wisdom to help lead them.
Yes. And then there's the strategist who says, okay, well, this is the system, follow it, which is different than mentor. Mm-hmm. And then there's the coach who says, I'm going to help you figure out how to do it do it yourself. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah. And it's not like I don't think as coaches, we just leave them on their own. It says, oh, you figure it out for yourself.
Well, no, but we're showing them how to figure it out.
Right. We're helping them with our questions. And I love to notice what's going on for them. Like, I notice that every time you talk about this, it's like you all scrunch up or you're like contracting and, what's going on for you. So we can notice those kind of things to help them come out of the shell that is sort of holding them back and really come to their own knowing about what needs to happen. Because I don't know about you, I don't do well when someone tells me what I have to do. I don't like that. But if someone asks me powerful questions or I can feel they're supporting me and they maybe offer some suggestions or whatever, it's like it flows. It's a different feel.
There's also a therapist.
That's not me.
Mentor, strategist, coach, therapist. I think for most of us need all four. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I like to keep them separate, though. If someone wants to
Yes.
just a mentoring session, I don't want to do mentoring and coaching because they're two different things. And although I do have a therapist diploma from Australia, I can't practice it in the U.S. I'd have to get my master's, and that's where I drew my line. I'm not going back to school again. But it has some great stuff in it that you can sort of just use with people, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't saying to combine all four into one thing. I was saying
I know. I'm just
people need all four, and you need them in different stages of your life. I mean, if you're first coming up into business, you need a mentor. You need someone to show you how to navigate through business. And then you get to the point where maybe you're launching a business and you need a strategist who can help you set up your systems. And then, if you're ready to grow, just to use the bro marketing term, scale, I hate that term. When you're ready for that, you need a coach to help you figure out how to do that. And then when, you suddenly become a wealthy gazillionaire and you have all this money, but your life has fallen apart, then you need your therapist.
Or even before when you're in college and you're like, what am I going to do with my life? I always say that we're better together. I mean, I think that often a lot of the things that we can do with those things, we can come together in groups, I call it, of like-minded souls. We all have a common goal and we're going to move forward with that. So, or, you can do it individually with people with these trained people as well. So yeah, there's many ways to do it, but I feel like we're better together. It's instead of trying to figure it all out on our own, that can be extremely stressful.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever try to figure it out on your own. You should always look for
No.
some sort of guidance. So you keep talking about Australia, and one of the things that we learned from the pandemic, or at least those of us who are paying attention learned during the pandemic, is that the world is very small and that the global community is amazing. And so you have, it's tomorrow in Australia right now, so
15 hours ahead of me where my friends live in Perth.
Tell me what you've learned from the Australian culture that you can bring back to the U.S.
Well, people are people. The hardest thing for me when I went over there was understanding them. It's like, please have someone translate for me. Do you remember that movie with June, whoever it was, from Leave It to Beaver, where she was translating what this other guy was saying that no one could understand on the plane?
That's Airplane.
Yes, Airplane. Yeah. That's what I felt like when I first started going to Australia. It's like, because they shorten every single word, and so you have no idea what they're talking about. But I find that people are people. Perth is a kind of very dry places by the ocean. It has a lot of different, interesting places to see that are different than the U.S. But I haven't found that Aussies are that different from Americans, except maybe they're more laid back because they don't have so many people over there. I don't know.
So basically, everybody...
People are people.
People are people. It doesn't matter what language you speak or what religion that you believe in or what your values are. People are people.
Well, you're going to have people that you have more of affinity to than other people. Maybe you have the same interest or something like that, and that's fine. But I find them lovely people, but I'm sure there's all different kinds of people in Australia, the same as there are in the United States. We're just a lot smaller population.
Yeah, and I'm from California, and I lived in Texas for 20 years, and now I live in Michigan. And those are three completely different countries.
That's true.
They're states, but they're countries. They're their own animals. And, I sometimes I feel like I speak a different language than my husband because I'm from California. All right, I want to give some practical advice to the listener about finding serenity. So I know that there is no one size fits all. But if somebody is feeling stressed and burnt out right now, what are some things that they can put into place immediately to find serenity?
And I believe that it's important to keep it really, really simple. And if we make it really complicated, we're just going to add stress to our lives. So I'm going to give you a couple of very simple things that they can put into place. And one thing is breath work. And this is the simplest thing because you can take yourself with a simple breathing technique out of fight or flight when you're just breathing up here and sometimes you're holding your breath into rest and relax mode. You might have to breathe like this for a while, but you're going to die if you don't breathe. So I recommend this. You're just breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose, and the out breath is longer than the in breath. And you can do that anywhere, anytime. Another simple way to do that is just, if you can be a little bit noisy, is just go Let stuff go. And so that's one thing. The second thing is that we are too tied to our computers and cell phones. There needs to be time every day where you close them. And even, I mean, even when I lived in Cleveland and there was a lot of snow and I had totally different clothes because it's a lot colder there, you know, I had my down coat and my mittens and my boots, and I could go out for a walk in the snow. Because if I didn't go out for a walk in the snow, I wasn't going to be able to walk for a long time. So, you know, getting out in nature, breathing the fresh air, I find it's incredibly healing. Incredibly healing. We need to tell ourselves because our bodies know. And this is what I used to ignore. I'd be at my desk, I'd get a lot of stuff done, and my body would be going, we need a break, we need a break, we need a break. And I would override it and I would crash and burn. So listen to your body, take a 10 or 15-minute break, put on your warm clothes if it's winter, go out and breathe the fresh air. Another thing is, I mean, if you have movies or music that you like, I love to listen to music that I love. And if it's emotional and I'm crying, it's like this huge release. It's not that I'm sad. I love that.
Yeah.
I know I'm weird, but
no, you're not. No, you're not. I also enjoy watching a movie that'll give me a good cry because it's cathartic.
Or music. Or music, you
Yeah.
know. I was listening to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young that I grew up with today because I needed a break. Tears. You know, I'm like, why am I crying? It was just so emotional, you know, so much. Anyway, those kind of things are great. And sometimes it's just nice to have, you know, a friend or two that's your accountability buddy, where you can pick up the phone or you can text them and go, I feel stressed out, and just have a nice little chat about nothing or anything and everything. Let everything go, take a breath, and then go back and do what's sitting on your table.
So every Monday, and this is open to anybody, so listener, if you want to join us, there's a link in the show notes. But every Monday at noon Eastern, I host 90 minutes of co-working, but we do it Pomodoro style. So do you know Pomodoro?
No.
So what Pomodoro is, it's a 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest, 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. You do that 4 times and then you take a long break. But we do it for, you know, we do three 25-minute stints with 2 5-minute breaks in the middle. And I make them leave. I'm like, okay, walk away from you, go do something. And you can do a lot in 5 minutes. So that's my tip is to work. If Pomodoro works for you, use something like that where you set a timer and you're really focused and you get the work done, and then when the timer goes off, you walk away. And the other thing is, Nordic countries will open all the windows in their house for 5 minutes every day in the winter to let the fresh air in.
Wow. Cool.
And so I have a window in my bedroom, and I'll open it and I'll stick my head out, take a couple breaths, bring my head back in, right? To just because right now I'm covered in snow. I don't know about you, but I've got snow everywhere. So in order to get out of our house, it requires a shovel.
Right. It's different in Colorado right now.
But you can open a window. There's a Instagram channel where this guy has this, he's from a Nordic country, and he has this kid that's a toddler, and he's always talking in the videos, and you can see his toddler in the background, and his toddler always falls down. And that is the difference between an American parent and somebody from another country. There is no way any American parent would let their kid fall down that much. you know. But this kid's just out there exploring, having a good time, falling down all the time, you know, outside. I mean, they're always outside in the snow playing.
And that's supposed to be very healthy for you because, you know, if you go out and experience things before you're given theory, it's supposed to make you much more flexible and adaptable and able to do amazing things in life.
I'm a huge proponent of failing and letting people fail. I've never been a fan of giving everybody a trophy. There's winners and losers.
Right.
Losing doesn't make you a loser. It just means you lost, right?
Right.
You learn from the failure. How can I be better next time? Like, you know, the first thing I thought of when I was told that I was the number 6 business education podcast in the United States, how do I become number 1? That's the first thing I thought of. That's because failure has made me stronger, right? It's made me more ambitious, I guess. How do I beat Amy Porterfield? Because she's number 1, right? Absolutely.
So when my son was growing up, you know, my ex and I shared some stuff, but really I was a primary parent and legally as well. I was a hovering mother, and I would not let him fail. And a friend of mine who's more the counselor mode and loves me, not, you know, just as a friend, he said, Arlene, what you're doing is really arrogant. You need to allow him to fail. And I did, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. And he's a very successful businessman today. And it was the best advice I was ever given. Hardest thing I ever did. After he failed a couple of times, I got over like the screaming and crying inside because I saw him start to build his own business and do things that he would never have done if I hadn't allowed him to fall on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was the best advice I was ever given because I was one of those hovering, can't let the kid fail. Well,
Yeah.
it's not good parenting.
No, you have to teach people that it's okay to fail. Because if you
Right.
don't, I mean, I am not a fan of Elon Musk, but one of the things that I really admire about SpaceX is that they celebrate their failures. They celebrate them. Now, their failures cost billions of dollars. Yeah, like when a rocket blows up, but they learn from them and they go, okay, we're never going to have that problem again because now we know. Whereas people who are afraid to fail, they'll never build the rocket. Your friend gave you good advice.
He gave me excellent advice, and I'm glad that I, wasn't stubborn or opinionated or crossing my arms like you don't know what blah blah blah. And because I just struck a chord. And so if it helps anybody, and it's not just applying to our kids, it's to ourselves as well.
Women often are the glue in the family, right? They're the glue in every room we're in. We're the glue. So what would it look like if the listener allowed herself to fail?
People have taught this to me. Some of my mentors have taught this to me. Mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow, and practice makes permanent, not perfect. And so, yeah, I might feel some pangs of whatever I feel if I fall flat on my face. I'm not going to say I don't, but it really does help me to do that positive self-talk and have like-minded friends that I can chat with who go, it's okay, just pick yourself up, give it a go. That really helps, so that we keep on moving forward and we just don't crawl in a little hole because we made a mistake and fell on our face.
So what I've heard from you since this conversation is about transitioning without burnout is that one of the best ways to prevent burnout is to allow yourself to fail.
Right, and then don't judge and beat yourself up for it. Go, okay, what did I learn from this, which we've just been talking about, and really feel it and visualize it and see it so that next time when something similar happens, we can handle it differently. And we'll go, okay, how would I do something differently next time? If we really see it and visualize it and know it in our heart of hearts, something will happen again. It would be a little bit different, I'm sure, but we'll have the tools from that experience, plus our active visualization, plus our positive self-talk, that I didn't die, I just fell on my face and I'm picking myself back up.
So it's time to wrap up. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't cover yet?
I'm sure we could find some more things, but it's just been a pleasure, and I hope that I shared something that was of value to your audience. And yeah, that's really all I wanted to say.
So how can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can Google Arlene Cohen Miller. I'll come up all over the places that I'm on the internet, including my website, which is Jewel Consultancy. That's Jewel like the diamond and then consultancy.com. I do on that website have some videos that are really helpful, and I have a whole blog that's broken up into different topics if you want stuff, and some free resources and stuff like that. And if you reach out to me and you mention Candace, I'll be happy to text with you or whatever you need.
Arlene Miller, this is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
I'm just really grateful to be alive and to have this life, and for all the people that are in it. I mean, that sounds pretty corny, but I guess I'm just grateful to be alive. There's so much to live and do and see, and as long as we don't decide that we're old and we're going to stop, there's always cool things.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for Gen X women solopreneurs, building your business on your own terms. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Solely. To connect with our guest, Jewel Cohen Miller, please check out the show notes at gratitudegeek.com. This is episode 308. I've been your host, Candace Ridardi. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.